Some cases stay with you not because of the gore, not because of the body count, but because of a single, devastating question that no one has ever been able to answer. Who was he? It was the first day of December, 1948. Summer was just beginning to breathe over the southern Australian coast, and the beach at Somerton, a quiet sandy stretch just south of Adelaide, was dotted with sunbathers and strolling couples enjoying the long evening light. Just before 7 in the morning, two men walking past noticed a figure lying against the seawall. He was well dressed, a smart brown jacket, neatly pressed trousers, polished shoes. His legs were stretched out in front of him, arms slightly crossed. He looked for all the world like a man who had simply laid back and gone to sleep. But he wasn't sleeping, he was dead. Police were called. The body was that of a man estimated to be between 40 and 45 years old. He was in excellent physical condition, strong. His face was described by investigators as almost unnervingly calm. No signs of a struggle. No visible wounds. No identification of any kind. No wallet. No passport. No letters. Not a single thing that could tell them his name. His clothes had been carefully altered. Every label, every maker's mark, every laundry tag had been cut away. Someone had gone to great trouble to ensure this man could not be identified. The question of who he was would consume investigators for the next 75 years. An autopsy was conducted the following day. The pathologist found the man's last meal had been a pasty, a common meat-filled pastry. His blood showed signs of congestion, consistent with poisoning, but no poison was ever conclusively identified. His spleen was 3 times the normal size. His stomach lining was deeply inflamed. The coroner's verdict was blunt and deeply unsatisfying. Cause of death unknown. For months, police were stuck. They circulated the description, released photographs, appealed to the public. No one came forward. No missing persons report matched his description. It was as if this man had simply materialized on the beach and ceased to exist. Then, in July 1949, 7 months after the body was found, a suitcase turned up at Adelaide's main railway station. It had been checked in around the time of the man's death and never claimed. Inside were clothes, neatly folded, a red dressing gown, a pair of slippers, a screwdriver, a stenciling brush, and a length of cord. Items that might have belonged to a sailor or a tradesman. And again, every label had been cut from every piece of clothing. Whoever this man was, he was meticulous, deliberate, careful. But the real bombshell had already been discovered months earlier, and investigators hadn't even realized it at first. When the body was originally examined at the morgue, a small rolled piece of paper was found tucked inside a secret fob pocket sewn into the dead man's trouser waistband. It was tiny, barely the size of a stamp, and on it were 2 words printed in Persian script, Tamam Shud. It means, it is ended. The words were traced back to the final page of a rare translation of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a collection of 12th century Persian poetry about the pleasures of life and the acceptance of death. Investigators put out a public appeal to find the specific book that page had been torn from. Against enormous odds, a man came forward. He had found the book thrown into the back seat of his unlocked car, parked near Somerton Beach, on the night the man died. The book was sent to experts. Under ultraviolet light, a series of letters were revealed. On the back, TSAMSTGAB. 5 lines. No spaces between the letters in a conventional way. No known language, no known cipher system had ever been able to crack them. Code breakers from the military, cryptographers from universities around the world. All of them tried. All of them failed. To this day, those lines remain undeciphered. There was one more thing inside that book, a local phone number, written in pencil. Police traced it to a woman. For legal reasons, her name was suppressed for decades. She became known simply as Jestin, a nickname taken from a name written in a copy of the same book she'd once given to someone as a gift. When detectives showed her a plaster cast of the dead man's face, her reaction was startling. Witnesses described her as visibly shaken, almost to the point of collapsing, one detective later noted. She claimed not to know him, claim for the rest of her life. Jestin was a nurse. She had years earlier given a copy of the Rubaiyat to a man named Alfred Boxall, a former soldier and intelligence officer. When police tracked Boxall down to confirm whether he might be the Somerton Man, he walked in alive, very much in good health, and still in possession of the book Jestin had given him, with an inscription from her in the front. So the Somerton Man was not Alfred Boxall, but the connection to someone with links to wartime intelligence only deepened the mystery. Who had Jestin given the other copy of the book to? The one whose final page ended up in the dead man's pocket. She never told them. Decades passed. Jestin died. Her daughter, Roma, who as a toddler had been present in the house when police first visited, died too. And for years, the trail went cold. Then, in 2009, an Adelaide professor named Derek Abbott began to reinvestigate the case from a genetic angle. Daughter. Making him, in a strange twist, the potential great son-in-law of the Somerton Man, if the family connection was what many suspected. In 2022, DNA technology finally caught up with the mystery. Scientists at Flinders University, led by Professor Abbott and forensic genealogist Colleen Fitzpatrick, managed to extract a DNA profile from the man's preserved hair samples. They ran it through genealogical databases, and they found a match. The name that emerged cautiously, with caveats, was Carl Charles Webb, a toolmaker and electrical engineer from Melbourne, born in 1905. He had been married and separated. He had no known connection to intelligence services. He was, in many ways, an ordinary man. But there were problems. The match was not absolute proof. Some genealogists disputed aspects of the identification. Webb's own family could not be reached for confirmation, and the question of what he was doing on that beach, who had stripped the labels from his clothes, why he had carried a torn piece of Persian poetry in a hidden pocket, and what those 5 lines of code meant, none of that was answered. The coded message has never been cracked. The cause of death has never been confirmed. Whether he was a spy, a grieving lover, or simply a man who wanted to disappear, no one knows. What we do know is this. On December 1st, 1948, a man lay down on a beach in South Australia as the sun went down. He looked out at the sea, and whatever burden he had been carrying, whatever name, whatever secret, whatever grief, he took it with him. Tamam Shud. It is ended.